Right now, starting a YouTube channel is the easiest it's ever been. There's more ways than ever to become a creator, and there's also more information and advice than ever on how to do it. But a lot of beginner advice focuses on how to grow a YouTube channel and not how to make it the right one for you. And before you look at my channel and start questioning me, I'm a professional YouTube thumbnail designer away from this channel, but besides that, I've learned more about what's actually going to help you by creating content myself and making plenty of mistakes along the way. So in this video, I'm going to share some real no-nonsense advice and some mistakes I wish I would have avoided in the past. So hopefully by the end of the video, you'll have a much clearer idea of what actually matters when you're first starting your channel, and hopefully helps you feel a lot more confident about starting. So when it comes to creating content, before you've even thought about the kind of content you want to be making, you first need to figure out why you're actually wanting to do it. Some people want to be a full-time creator, some people just want a bit of extra money on the side of their jobs. Some people are looking for a sense of purpose, and some people simply just want to do it for fun. And all of those reasons are okay, and realistically, most people are probably a combination of all of them. A lot of people give the advice that you shouldn't be in it for the money, but honestly, I think that advice is outdated. By now, everyone knows that creating content can make you money, and there's nothing wrong with wanting to get into making content for the money. However, it can't be the only reason you're doing it. There's hundreds of videos of MrBeast giving YouTube advice and pretty much breaking down how he makes the content that he does. So if that's the case, why isn't everyone doing it and making millions? And the answer is simply because it's just not easy. It's a lot of work, and depending on the kind of content you want to make, it can get expensive. Before you can even start earning from ad revenue, you need 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours, or millions of short views if you're focusing on short form content. And this is why it's important to be honest with yourself about why you're starting. Because if your only motivation is money and you don't actually enjoy the process of making the videos and learning how to make better videos, you're almost guaranteed to quit long before you make any real progress. But lucky for you, that's exactly why I've made this video. So if you're genuinely interested in creating content and building something of your own, and the fact you can make some money along the way is a bonus to you, you'll give yourself a much better chance of succeeding. So now you know why you want to start, now you've got to figure out what you actually want your content to be. And now the advice that I'm about to give, I don't see a lot of other creators giving. Most people think they know the kind of content that they'd like to make, but what you actually want to do isn't always the same. And that's because when it comes down to it, if you're actually going to be consistent at doing this, it's actually about what you're willing to do that's sustainable and in something you enjoy. And figuring this out can become really personal. Only you're going to be able to figure out what the answer is for yourself. So I'll use my own channel as an example and how I landed on it and show how complex it can actually be in practice. I'm a graphic designer that works with YouTube channels for a living. I make thumbnails. I could start a channel doing educational graphic design content, but after I've worked all day designing, the last thing I want to do is come home and design some more. I'll simply burn out, and I literally did this when I was younger. I had a graphic design channel, I even grew it to over 1,000 subscribers after I uploaded consistently for about a year, but I burned out when I got a full-time design job and I stopped uploading. Later down the line, I thought I like video games and I consume a lot of gaming content, so I tried streaming. But after a while, I realized I enjoy gaming as a hobby and I use it as my time to relax and wind down. So when it came to having to be consistent and think about ways to do it for content, it just wasn't for me, so I stopped. Later down the line, I started a podcast with my best friend. And to be fair, I actually did enjoy that and I could have kept it up, but I ended up moving away, so it became hard to keep up the consistency and it didn't make sense. Maybe it'll come back in the future, who knows. And then after that, there was a long period where I just felt a bit lost and a bit bummed out and I wasn't creating content, or bummed out that I at least didn't know what I wanted to create. And so some nights I'd look for some inspiration and I would come and watch similar videos to the type of content that I'm creating now. And as I was watching, it just sort of clicked with me. In that whole time, something I've been doing super consistently, still enjoy and always have enjoyed, is gaming. I realized to make the content that I want to make, all I would need to do is just record my screen when I'm gaming. So having footage for a YouTube video wouldn't be a problem if I just hit record before I started gaming. I don't have to turn up or do any planning, I'm not commentating live when I'm playing the games. I just record my screen and kick back and relax like I normally do on most nights. And then what that's allowed me to do is focus the time that I do have and I'm willing to dedicate to YouTube to working on the video ideas, the scripts, the thumbnails and titles, and just generally focus on the process of making better videos. It's sustainable for me because I enjoy all the different parts of it. I don't need to duplicate myself to produce it. I don't need a team around me. I don't have to have some fancy equipment. I just like talking about the topics that I cover in my videos, and I like playing games, so I use that as the footage. And my content isn't revolutionary, but I'm not trying to become the next MrBeast. I'm simply trying to motivate others to chasing their dreams and hopefully build a community along the way. But this is where a lot of creators go wrong and why a lot of small channels die off, and why I stress it needs to be something that you'll actually enjoy doing, and not only enjoy doing, it needs to be something that you're willing to show up and do consistently. It's something that you've just got to be honest about with yourself. It might even take a bit of trial and error, as it did with me and my attempts of starting other channels. If after that you're having second thoughts about what it is what you want to do, you should really take some time to really consider what it is that will work for you and that you'll still enjoy doing and want to be doing in a year or two's time. Don't determine what kind of content you want to make based on what other people are or aren't doing. Just because something's already been done doesn't mean you can't do it too. And if anything, it shows that there's actually an audience there for it. I'm not going to go into this too much because I've already done a whole video specifically on this topic. I'll leave a link to that in the description for you to watch after you finish this one. So now you've figured out what kind of content you want to make. Great. I want to share with you some mistakes that a lot of beginners make when they're first starting out. And most of them, if not all of them, have come from first-hand experience, so you know they're real. Now, some of these might not apply to you and they might vary depending on your lifestyle and just how you are as a person, but they're also things that I think will apply to the majority of people, or at least bring up some concerns that you might not initially consider. So the first one is, you don't have to tell anyone. If you're still nervous or you're embarrassed or you just want to see how it goes for yourself, you're not required to tell anyone or post on your other social media accounts that you're starting a YouTube channel or whatever platform it is you plan on using. I think a big hurdle for small creators to get over when they're first starting is the fear or being slightly embarrassed or slightly cringed out by their first few videos. And I've done this the same. I haven't posted it anywhere. I'm simply just focusing right now on making videos and making them a little bit better each time, until the consistency of them is at a point where I'm pretty happy with it. And then I might think about telling someone, or I might not, who knows. You're not obligated to tell anyone about your channel. You can start it completely namelessly and faceless if you want to. I've done it, you can do it too. Now the next one might seem to go against some of the other advice I've been given in this video, but just hear me out. Don't commit too hard. When you're starting out, you have no obligation to upload to a strict schedule. When you have 0 viewers, no one's waiting for the videos, you're not getting paid, it's not paying your bills, there is no time pressure as to when you need to upload a video by or what constitutes being consistent for you. For some people, 1 video a week is consistent. For some people, 1 video a month is consistent. It varies a lot depending on the content you're trying to make, and also you're learning. You've not done this before, it's a new thing, it's a new skill. There's going to be hiccups and issues you run into along the way. So not committing too hard, whether that's to your viewers or just to yourself, is going to save you in the long run until you're at the point where it just becomes a habit for you. Also, when you're just starting out, video performance when you have no regular audience is basically not impacted whatsoever by upload time or schedule. This next mistake is pretty similar, but it's slightly different for a different reason, and that's don't announce anything. Even if you're someone who's decided to have an upload schedule and you have no problem sticking to it, don't announce it. Now, I don't know if this has any sort of psychological reason or what it is, but it's quite a commonly known thing that small creators tend to announce these big plans and then never follow up on them. And I've fallen into this trap myself. Whether it's announcing new series, new videos, new social pages, or whatever it is, for some reason, again, I don't know if it's a psychological thing or what, but announcing it only adds even more pressure onto yourself. You basically want to get into creating content with as little friction as possible, so if you don't set any expectations for anyone, then no one's disappointed or let down, and there's also way less pressure on you if you do run into any issues. Or for whatever reason, if it's in your plan to do so, my advice to be, where possible, do the thing in the background, actually get it finished and ready first, and then announce it and put it into action. The next mistake that beginners make is going out and buying all of the equipment that they see their favorite creators using. And now I'm just going to rule this off really quickly. You do not need equipment. If you have a phone, you have almost everything you need to start making content today. If you're a gaming channel, you can record gameplay on consoles. Or if you happen to already have a PC, OBS is literally free. And there's so much free editing software out there that even professionals use, like DaVinci Resolve, for example. And even if you don't have a computer or a laptop, there's literally mobile apps that you can edit on. I've seen creators with expensive setups struggle to get views. Meanwhile, there's creators filming on an old webcam, building audiences because their content is genuinely entertaining. No one's clicked off a video before because the camera wasn't expensive enough. Most phones nowadays have amazing video cameras and microphones. However, if you don't have the most amazing equipment, with a bit of creativity, there are a lot of creators where the bad equipment or the low production quality is actually a feature of their content, like Tyler One's headset.
New episode of Game of Thrones, The White Walker.
Queso not having any lighting.
Your word is hornswoggle.
What is a
Can you spell venom?
Or Jinxie, who uses a webcam that's almost over a decade old.
somebody just shove it in!
On YouTube specifically, where the standard in production quality has risen, the vlog niche has almost gone backwards a little bit, and people are starting to prefer the vlogs where it feels like old YouTube, or it just feels like you're on a FaceTime call to a friend. Most creators are using just their phone or a small little action cam, and that's as far as their production equipment goes. And that's all you need to make great content. The blueprint is out there and it doesn't require expensive equipment. And now with the rise of AI as well, there's free tools, even websites that help with editing or clipping up your content or subtitling. All these things that used to take hours, it's never been more accessible to do as a beginner now. So the mistake people make is thinking that the better equipment automatically means better videos, when it doesn't. The content always comes first. And again, right now you've got no audience. Just make the videos with what you have now and focus on the things that actually make the content better. Your ideas, the script, your titles, your thumbnails. If you stick with it, you'll naturally figure out when the time comes what upgrades are actually worth spending money on later. One thing to keep in mind when you're just starting out making your first 10, 50, 100 videos is that when you start, you will suck. Your videos will just be bad. My channel is brand new. As of recording, I've probably been working on it for about 2 weeks. And I've already noticed things that I've improved on. And yeah, there is a ton more things that I have yet to get better at, but that's the point. You're going to get better at it, and the things that you need to improve on are slowly just going to become less and less and less. Treat your first 100 videos like trial runs. It don't matter if anyone sees them or not. Treat them like their whole purpose is just to get better at making videos, and specifically the kind of videos that you want to make. I'm currently planning a follow-up video about some practical advice for YouTube, so that will go into specifically how to improve your videos when you're just starting off. So if that's something you're interested in, drop a like on the video and I'll be sure to get that out as quick as possible. If you can identify one thing you need to improve on from a video, and then the next one you make, you just focus on improving only that single thing. If you do that 10 times, that 10th video is quite literally going to be 10 times better than the first one you've made. When a lot of creators start, they want to do it because they just want to share their thoughts, their journey, their experiences. And that makes sense because that's why we like our favorite creators, we relate to them. However, it's so important to know that this isn't what's going to get you views when you're first getting started. People don't know you. You're a stranger in a sea of other creators, and viewers want to know why your content is valuable enough for them to click on and watch before they've begun to start caring about your personal life. So when you're starting, providing the absolute most value possible to your viewers is going to be the thing to prioritize, as it gets you the furthest. Whether that's entertainment, information, education, inspiration, or anything else, think about why the viewer is on YouTube, and more importantly, what will be valuable to them and get them to watch your video. A reason I think people hold off from making informative content is because they're thinking that they need to be an expert before they're allowed to make informative content. You don't. Now, obviously, if you're giving advice on anything important, you should know what you're talking about and do your research. But there are plenty of successful creators making informative videos who aren't the world's leading experts in their field. Because the thing is, if you know about a topic enough in order to make a video on it, that means there are already people who know less about it than you do. In fact, it can actually be an advantage. If you've just learned something for yourself, you still remember what's confusing about it to you before you learned it. You know which parts people struggle with because you struggled with it too. Some of the best educational content on YouTube isn't even made by experts. It's made by people who are good at learning, researching, and showing what they've just learned in a way that's easy to understand or is entertaining. So don't get imposter syndrome about not knowing enough about a topic. If you know enough about it to make the video, you already know enough. So hopefully this video has given you a better idea of what actually matters when starting a YouTube channel, and maybe helped you avoid a few mistakes that will save you some time along the way. If you're a small creator and you have any advice for other small creators that are just about to get started, leave your best piece of advice down in the comment section below. In a future video, I want to get some more practical advice around actually making better videos, improving faster, and things you can actually do to provide more value in your content. Because if you're someone who feels like the content you want to make is already too saturated, or that your videos are just going to disappear in the feed amongst other creators, I made an entire video breaking down why it's actually not as big a problem as people think. Drop a like on the video if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this in the future. The channel is brand new, so any interaction at this stage really does help. Other than that, I'll see you in the next one.